This national news edition originates from VK1WIA and is rebroadcast throughout Australia and around the world under a common licence published on the WIA website. This WIA national news service is copyright to the Wireless Institute of Australia, and rebroadcast is authorised only under the provisions of that common licence.
WIA Director and Company Secretary Peter Clee, VK8ZZ.
From Australia, this is the Wireless Institute of Australia with the weekly news service. This broadcast is in text, audio and video and is accessed on wia.org.au.
In WIA National News this week, WIA Amateur Radio Magazine's Editor-in-Chief, Roger Harrison, VK2ZRH, WIA National News International reporter Jason Daniels, VK2LAW, and a massive breakthrough in energy tech. WIA Director Justin Giles Clark, VK7TW, and is Australia's new national sport, payphone tag. Henry, VK2ZHE, President of the Oxley Region Amateur Radio Club, reminds us it's now only 2 weeks to the Oxley Region Amateur Radio Club's 50th annual field day at Wauchope. But wait, there's much, much more in this edition of news from the Wireless Institute of Australia, and it's for week commencing Sunday, May 24, 2026. I'm Editor Graham, VK4BB.
On demand, online, on YouTube, and on HF across Australia. This is the Wireless Institute of Australia and VK1WIA.
Once more, this is Roger Harrison, VK2ZRH. Editor-in-Chief of Amateur Radio Magazine. It should come as no surprise to listeners that the body of Issue 3 reeled off the press last Wednesday at Bairnsdale in Victoria, as scheduled, according to the plan the Publications Committee approved 6 months ago. As promised on page 3 of Issue 2, the theme for Issue 3 is about offbeat antennas and such, and we've delivered. Our feature article is one dedicated experimenter's exploration of the helix antenna. You know, the weird spiral that might snake up a supporting boom for maybe 3 turns or even as much as 8 or 10, and likely used in space or satellite applications. Indeed, the helix is an uncommon antenna among the radio amateur community. Undeterred by that, the author of our feature article, the indefatigable Carmel Morris, VK2NO, delved right back into the foundation of the helix on a mission to develop and build one for herself. If I said any more, I'd be giving away the surprise she has coming for her new twist on the old helix. I've seen plaintive posts on Facebook ham radio sites asking questions along the lines, I'm new to ham radio and just bought a Yay Comwood transceiver. What type of Yagi do I need to get on the air? What makes and models do people recommend? Well, everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. When I was first licensed, I still recall how keen I was to get going. So, to help out new hands to the adventures of ham radio, you'll find an article in this issue titled, You Don't Need a Yagi to Get a Yay Comwood on Air. It's about how to put up simple, low-cost yet effective antennas and get your shiny new station earning its keep. That brings me to the topic of how to find proof of your amateur licence documentation from the ACMA website without fears or tears. You might have been operating for some years and would like to delve into operating on one of the many digital voice modes for which you need to prove you are a licensed amateur radio operator. Or you're booking an overseas trip and want to operate in other countries. The authorities will ask you to show your licensing documents. Well, Justin Giles Clark, VK7TW, is back with a step-by-step guide that he has worked through diligently with the ACMA's Customer Service Centre staff. It's all explained in one page, which will be available on the WIA website. For all you keen, dedicated DXs out there, we have the 2025 DX Leaderboard, compiled by the WIA DX Awards Committee. Search the leaderboard to see where you rank, and the rankings of those other operators you hear so often on the bands. We've published it across the 2 centre pages, making it ideal for a lift-out for posting in your shack or on your club's notice board. There's much to look forward to in Issue 3. Amateur Radio Magazine. More guts, less gab. Trusted by hams across Australia since 1933. Proudly produced and printed in Australia by amateurs for amateurs. Also available online. That's it for now. I'm Roger Harrison, VK2ZRH.
From here, there and everywhere, you've tuned to the Wireless Institute of Australia's National News Service. We are VK1WIA. Now with international news, Jason, VK2LAW.
ARIS prepares for lunar-based amateur radio communications. Provably, the leading international story this week could have interstellar reach. During their Saturday Hamvention Forum presentation, ARIS, celebrating 25 years on ISS and pioneering new spaceflight opportunities for hams and youth, ARIS announced the formation of Amateur Radio Exploration, AREX, and their relationship with NASA that could potentially put an amateur radio presence on the Moon as part of future lunar missions. AREX is a joint consortium between AMSAT and ARIS. While nothing is set in stone at this stage, ARIS did speculate on the type of radio setup that could empower amateur radio operators to communicate via the Moon. Still in Dayton, there was a huge youth presence. Unlike here in VK, where YOTA, Youth on the Air, if it wasn't for the Cherry Boys who report here on WIA National News, in the USA and elsewhere, it thrives. A highlight at Dayton was the ARRL Youth Rally, at which some 30 young hams and future hams took part in a variety of activities, including a hidden transmitter hunt, an introduction to Morse code by the Long Island CW Club, and the Youth Rally Sprint, in which 7 HT-equipped teams spread out to different parts of the Hamvention grounds to talk with each other and then move to a new location. Youth Rally participants also enjoyed a meet-up with Carlos Felix Ortiz, Kilo 9 Oscar Lima, well known for his parachute mobile ham radio adventures. Ortiz jumped on Sunday to the delight of those who made contact with him during his descent. In addition to the Youth Rally, the Youth Lounge in the ARRL Expo area drew more than 80 young hams to build kits and just relax and talk with other kids. The ARRL Collegiate Amateur Radio Program booth was right next door, supported by student volunteers representing their colleges and universities from across the country. The RSGB exams team has published new mock exam papers for foundation and intermediate levels. There are 3 for each level, and you can find them on the RSGB website at rsgb.org/mock-exams. These take into account all the changes to the UK syllabus and exam question bank which have been made since the last set of mock exam papers were published. The exams team reminders mock papers for the full level. In fact, the entire full licence question bank is available online. Candidates and trainers can create their own full-level mock papers using the questions at rsgb.org/exam questions. In other news from the RSGB, they'll be running a practical and thought-provoking workshop for radio amateurs, makers and home constructors who want to understand what AI really is, what it's good at, where it can go wrong and why it matters. The session will run during the RSGB convention on both Saturday the 10th and Sunday the 11th of October. In the United States, the National World War I Museum and Memorial continues to partner with area amateur radio operators to host special event station Whiskey Whiskey 1 USA for Memorial Day 2026. This year's event will be Monday, May 25 at the Overland Park Christian Church in Overland Park, Kansas. Station operators will contact hundreds of other amateur radio operators across the world. Individuals are welcome to serve as guest operator of WW1 USA at any time, with all guests receiving a special amateur radio operator certificate. Operating events from WW1 USA have been very successful during the 5 years of the centennial. From 2014 through 2018, there were 19 events with over 27,000 contacts in all 50 United States, 11 of 12 Canadian provinces, and 133 countries worldwide. WW1 USA acknowledged over 2,500 QSL cards and sent out 5,000 certificates. Weird and wonderful. Massive breakthrough in energy tech. China has just unveiled a game-changing graphene-based battery that fully charges in just 5 minutes, according to a post in Knowledge Network. This isn't just about blazing fast speed, though. The next-gen tech completely reshapes the future of power with some massive upgrades. 4 times longer lifespan. Yes, it lasts 4 times longer than traditional lithium-ion batteries, drastically cutting down on electronic waste. Zero fire risk. Built with ultimate safety in mind, its advanced chemistry is entirely stable and designed to never catch fire. Superior science. By utilising graphene, a single layer of carbon atoms, the battery offers unparalleled conductivity and flawless thermal management. From smartphones to electric vehicles, this leap in material science is about to set a brand new global standard for how we power our lives. And the final story this week, news of a silent key. Singer-composer Alan Osmond, Kilo November 0, India Zulu Echo. Funeral services were held on Saturday, May 2nd for a noted radio amateur who belonged to a singing family that once topped the pop music charts. We hear more about him from Newsline's Ralph Squillis, Kilo 6 India Tango Bravo.
Family and friends said their final goodbyes to Alan Osmond, KN0IZE, who led the singing family, the Osmonds, as both a performer and a songwriter. Alan, who had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 1987, became a silent key on the 20th of April. He and his brothers were veterans of the music scene, starting their careers in the 1950s, and were later joined by younger brother Donnie, who at one time had also been a ham operator with the call sign KA7EVD. Alan's widow, Suzanne, has the call sign KF7ERB. This is Ralph Squilacci, KK6ITB.
Alan Osmond, who had been a lifelong ham radio operator, was 76. For WIA National News in Sydney, I'm Jason, VK2LAW.
We are VK1WIA. Now, operational news with VK4FUQ. Felix.
Hello there. Now, contest-wise 2026. Real-time contest, 1600 hours Zulu, 2000 hours Zulu, May 24. June 6 and 7, VK Shires contest. June 2021, VHF UHF Field Day. July 4 and 5, NZART Memorial Contest. July 11 and 12, IAA UHF Championship. July 18, VK Trans-Tasman Contest. July 25-26, RSGB IOTA Contest. August 15-16, RD Contest. August 29-30, Alara Contest. September 19-20, VHF UHF Field Day. October 3 and 4, Oceania SSB Contest. Oceania CW Contest is October 10-11. October 24-25, CQWW SSB. November 28-29, CQWW CW Contest. December 12 and 13, ARRL 10 metre Contest. Now let's open the DX window to the world. Noble will be on the air from Palau as T88PB from the 27th through to the 31st of May, and again from the 20th through to the 22nd of June. Noble will participate in the CQWPX-CW contest and the All-Asian DX-CW contest. The Salamis radio team in Greece is active with the special call sign SX85CB to mark the 85th anniversary of the Battle of Crete during the Second World War. More details are available via QRZ.com. Harold is active as XT2AW from Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso until Tuesday the 19th of May. He operates using CW, SSB and FT modes on various HF bands and via the QO100 satellite, QSL via OQRS. Pascal is on the wireless as CN2NQB from Morocco until the 11th of July. CN2NQB has been spotted recently on the 20, 17 and 15 minute bands using SSB. For WIA National News, I'm Felix VK 4FUQ Inningham.
From here, there and everywhere, you've tuned to the Wireless Institute of Australia's National News Service. We are VK1WIA. Now, special interest group news with Bruce, VK3FFF.
And a very good day to you. Worldwide special interest groups, astronomy and wireless weather. Old Sol has let loose a strong M5.7 class solar flare from sunspot AR4436, which quickly disrupted high-frequency radio communications across the Atlantic. Ships, planes, and even amateur radio operators felt the effects as X-ray radiation messed with Earth's upper atmosphere. Signals became scrambled within minutes. That flare also kicked off a coronal mass ejection, basically a huge burst of solar wind and magnetic fields heading straight for Earth. People in northern England, Scotland, Seattle, and Minneapolis had some extra bright auroras lighting up the sky. Of course, the sun is nearing the 11-year solar maximum. Yes, all this action is part of the sun's 11-year cycle. Right now, we're closing in on solar maximum, when flares and coronal mass ejections are more common and intense. So, expect more space weather drama as we head into the rest of 2026. And although this item is aimed primarily at VK7 listeners, readers and viewers, the June presentation night at Reist promises to take members far beyond the radio horizon and deep into the night sky as Lisa, VK7 SGZ, shares her fascinating journey into the world of astrophotography. Best of all, the presentation is going to be streamed. Lisa will explore how a curiosity about the universe evolved into a passion for capturing breathtaking images of nebulae, galaxies, star clusters, and other astronomical wonders. VK7 SGZ, Lisa's presentation, will cover the equipment used in modern astrophotography, from telescopes and tracking mounts through to cameras, filters and software, along with the techniques needed to turn faint light from deep space into extraordinary images. Whether you're interested in astronomy, imaging, radio, electronics, computing, or simply appreciating the beauty of the universe, this promises to be a visually stunning and inspiring evening. Wednesday, June 3rd at 7:30 p.m. EST in the Queen's Domain Clubrooms and streamed. Worldwide Special Interest Group News, Summits on the Air, Worldwide Flora-Fauna Program, Parks on the Air, and other adventure groups. Technology Gaming News Payphone Tag is Australia's new national sport. Here is WIA Director Justin, VK7TW.
Australia's payphones are an iconic part of the national landscape, even if they're not as important as they once used to be. However, they're having a resurgence of late, in part thanks to a national pastime, the sport of payphone tag. The game's simple. To play, you first sign up on the website, get your emoji and 5-digit PIN. You then go out and find a payphone, dial the payphone tag number, and enter your PIN when prompted. This lets you capture the phone, raising your score in the game. If the phone is already captured, no matter, you head out and dial the number and key in your PIN to steal it. You can also push your score even higher by capturing 3 payphones in a triangle on the map to get bonus points. It's a fun geospatial game that's also free to play because Telstra made payphones free back in 2022. It might cost you a bit in getting out to some of the phones, but there are plenty you can reach with the aid of a free public transport at the moment. Anyway, pro tip. At the time of writing, there are a ton of easy captures to be had on Kangaroo Island. Probably King and Flinders as well. It might just cost you a pretty penny to get out there. Have a look at it. We'd love to see some stats from Telstra as to whether this is making a dent in overall payphone usage rates. In any case, there were 800 players in the last 7 days and a full 36,640 captures so far. We fully expect to see this concept spread to other nations in turn, though it might be less attractive in places where you still have to dig out a coin to make a call. This is Justin, VK7 at Tangled Whiskers, wishing you good DX and a great week ahead.
Thanks, Justin. Between a rock and a hard place. Stuck. NASA's Curiosity Mars rover got a rock stuck to the drill on the end of its robotic arm, and after waving the arm and running the drill a few times, finally detached the rock. Curiosity had drilled a sample from a rock nicknamed Atacama, which is an estimated 1.5 feet in diameter at its base, 6 inches thick, and weighs roughly 13 kilograms. When the rover retracted its arm, the entire rock lifted out of the ground, suspended by the fixed sleeve that surrounds the rotating drill bit. Drilling has fractured or separated the upper layers of rocks in the past, but a rock has never remained attached to the drill sleeve. The team initially tried vibrating the drill to shake off the rock, but saw no change. Then they tried reorientating Curiosity's robotic arm and vibrating the drill again. Finally, Curiosity's team tried again, tilting the drill more, rotating and vibrating the drill, and spinning the drill bit. Team planned to perform these actions multiple times, but the rock came off on the first round, fracturing as it hit the ground. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, IOTA, AS001, Andaman Islands. Team VU4R will be active from Port Blair, AS001, Andaman Islands, on the 22nd to 26th of July. They will operate SSB and FT8 and will participate in the IOTA contest. This will be a preparatory trip and operation in anticipation of the main event, which will take place on the 17th to 30th of December alongside the 49th CNET convention. IOTA number EU121, Arranmore Island. Pete, M1PTR, and Kieran, M5KJM, EI6KP, are on air from Arranmore Island, IOTA number EU121, from the 21st through to the 23rd of May, using the call sign EJ6KP. Listen on 15, 20 and 40 metres where they're using single sideband. Amateur Radio Young Timers, YOTA, Youngsters on the Air. Here's Alan, VK2COD.
Thank you, Bruce. The Victor Papa Zero Sierra Golf team places great emphasis on mentorship and handing the baton to the next generation in the expeditions. They also believe in the values promoted by leading amateur radio community organizations. Amateur Radio DXpeditions ARD is pleased to announce that Leon Helmich, DL30N, will be joining the March 2027 DXpedition to South Georgia. Leon is their second young operator following the previous announcement of Violetta KN2P. A third young operator will be announced soon, continuing this effort to support and develop future DXpeditions. ARD reports that their application to the government of South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands has been received positively. Their project is expected to enter the formal review phase in the coming weeks. ARD remains confident in the process. For WIA National News, I am Alan, VK2COD in Sydney. Now back to you, Bruce.
Thanks, Alan. Worldwide Special Interest Groups Rescue Radio. It wasn't long after Marconi sent a message across the Atlantic from Signal Hill in St John's, Newfoundland in 1901, making wireless telegraphy possible, that hobbyists started developing their own transmitters and stations. What became known as ham or amateur radio operators and technologists continue to flourish in a licensed hobby that sometimes includes Morse code and now incorporates digital technology. Ham radio's primary function, of course, is communication, which we do for fun, but as well we experiment and help out when other forms of communication go down. Each country has rescue organisations, and Australia no exception. We have WISN. And to tell us something of WISN, we have VK3 GTV. Cole.
It's a group that tends to hide one's light under a bushel. WISN Australia. WISN consists of a number of state or territory-based volunteer emergency communications service organisations whose members are primarily licensed amateur radio operators. Members are accredited to assist in emergency situations and are able to provide emergency and safety communications for other agencies when conventional communications networks fail or are inadequate. Emergency radio networks can be assembled quickly, taking advantage of both amateur radio frequencies and services and licensed non-amateur frequency allocations. Each WISN entity operates independently under appropriate local, state or other disaster plans. Key objectives of WISN are to provide communication support for emergency services operating in areas where infrastructure has failed or in remote areas where there is no suitable communications infrastructure communications support for community and charitable events needing communications networks beyond regular mobile phone services operators for emergency operations centres. WISN members undertake additional formal training, supplementing their knowledge required to hold an amateur radio licence from the Australian Communications and Media Authority. Maybe you are a WISN member. Well done. Now, how about letting the rest of the ham community in on news of your activities on a regular basis? Contact us, nationalnews@wia.org.au. I'm Cole, VK3GTV.
Thanks, Cole. Worldwide Special Interest Groups Software for Hams. Lloyd Van Horn, W4LVH, is a fan of mysteries, and there are perhaps few ham radio mysteries greater than that of sporadic E-skip. W4LVH is the force behind DX Central, a resource for DXs that does, among many things, data analysis. This month, he unveiled CDAP, an acronym for his Sporadic Ease Data Analysis Project. It can be found at fmdxdata.com and is free to use by hams, educators, and anyone with a hobbyist's interest in this special season that turns propagation magical in the eyes of many. He compiled more than 95,000 FM broadcast logs from North America to get the data relevant for the project, which goes beyond simple spreadsheets by acting interactive visualizations. He told the Radio World website that he also plans to include amateur radio data from 6 metres. He said that will permit analysis of days that had no propagation alongside days with active openings, days on which the maximum usable frequency did not reach the FM broadcast band. I'm Bruce, VK3FFF from sunny Bendigo.
It's a date and clubs are welcome to email text with audio for this section, nationalnews@wia.org.au, and details of all WIA affiliated clubs and societies can be found on the WIA website, as long as clubs keep it up to date. Now, the Social Scene 2026, VK2, the Picton Hamfest, May 31 at the Showground, 8 a.m, and VK2, the Oxley Region Amateur Radio Club's Field Day, 6 and 7 of June.
I'm Henry, VK2ZHE, President of the Oxley Region Amateur Radio Club. It's now only 2 weeks to the Oxley Region Amateur Radio Club's 50th annual Field Day at the Warhap Showground Hall on Saturday and Sunday, the 6th and 7th of June 2026, during the New South Wales King's Birthday long weekend. There will be all the usual Field Day activities, including traders, trash and treasure, fox hunting and a homebrew display. The Field Day dinner will be held in the Port Macquarie Golf Club on the Saturday night. Mark your calendar now for the June long weekend. The Warhope Showground permits camping, so it's possible to stay on site in your own motorhome, caravan or tent with power and amenities, but you must book ahead with the showground caretaker. I'm Henry, VK2ZHE for VK1WIA National News.
Thanks, Henry. Now till next we meet, I am Graham, I'm VK4BB. walk softly.
From Australia, this has been the Wireless Institute of Australia with the weekly news service. This broadcast is in text, audio and video and is accessed on wia.org.au.
Courtesy of Bevan, VK5 BD's ATV and YouTube channel, this has been WIA National News. We're back now, live and local, and your voice, your callbacks. And don't forget, tick like.